how did the involvement with this film happen?
I don't know, but it does.
Well,
We auditioned.
and we read. Danny and I read with a few like variations of people. Like you read with someone else for my role.
Yeah.
I read with someone else for your role. We read with different girls.
Yeah.
And then Danny and I kind of joined.
We were
in
the first ones cast.
We were the
yeah.
first ones cast.
And then they made us kind of read with a lot of girls and see, chemistry and all that stuff.
Right.
And then there's a lot of dialogue with Fede and about the characters and all that. And then, the cast came together and then here we are. That's the kind of...
Did you prefer him over the other guy you were reading with?
Dude, I loved it. Actually, we worked together when I first moved to LA. We worked together on an episode when he was 16, I was like 20 or something. And we just hit it off. We stayed friends. And then when we were actually doing the reading together, the chem read, we didn't know. And he walked in. I was like, Dylan!
You were there, I was
like,
so happy.
And then we were like, we're not going to get this.
Yeah.
We're not going to get it. And then when we actually did, it was awesome.
I was like, the best case scenario for this is that Danny and I get this, and I was like, I don't think that he's gonna get it.
We actually texted after. We were like, we're not going to
it's
get
not
it.
gonna happen.
But
And then
it
it worked out. We're actually here. It's so crazy. That wasn't even that long ago, really. That was less than a year ago.
How violent did you think the film was going to be?
I thought it was gonna be violent.
Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah. But it wasn't gory.
Wasn't gory. I
And
knew it
that's
wasn't gonna be gory.
and that's what kind of Fede told us from the beginning. He's like, look, Evil Dead is super gory. And that's what I did with this one. With this one, it's not going to play gory. It's going to be violent, if anything, but it's not going to be gory. But it was beyond violent. And then, like seeing it yesterday, I was like,
It gets heavy at times.
It does,
But I going into it, like when I first got it, I thought it was going to be gory because the way it was written, it seemed like it was going to be like some of the descriptions. But I feel like as time went on, Fede decided like he didn't want to go that route, and then when he said that, I thought that was very like refreshing and cool because I was like, it doesn't need gore. It doesn't need it.
Yeah.
It would just be excess. So.
Did you go through practicing being choked out or hit over the head or
Every day, man.
My
My
God.
parents were great at that. He was so good. He just beat me the shit out of me.
I didn't think I needed to practice, but then I got there. I was like, I'm really being strangled right now.
Wait, were you the first? I think you were the first one to go, or maybe it was Jane. I mean, I was the last one to go, so I had like Dylan telling me what I was about to expect, and Jane telling me. So I had like, I had an idea. But he goes all out.
I love that we're using the term "last one to go." Like it's our turn to get beat up by Steven. Like it's
your turn. Job. It's in his contract.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
exactly. Yeah.
when you're working with someone that is playing a blind person, is that a little weird? Because after they call a cut, the dude can see. So.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he had these contacts in that I think obscured his vision a lot. So he could see, but he still had to be kind of like led around, and he would like close his eyes or purposely not see. So you really do believe that he's blind. But he's so cool in between takes. Very nice.
But blind.
But blind.
So how is it bringing a movie to a film festival? Is it a different feeling than having Goosebumps premiere in LA?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, right.
Private jet planes.
No. It is very different because that is obviously it's all set up and it all kind of sets itself up with that big of a title. And there's a lot more like press and traveling you have to do going into that. But this is cool because this is far in advance. This comes out in a few months. So it's really cool to see it this early and see the buzz this early because I haven't been involved with something like this before. I know you probably were with It Follows.
Yeah.
So he's the guy to ask, but for me it's new and it feels very. I love this whole thing.
Yeah. No, I love festivals, man. It's really cool, especially when the response is really positive. And, I don't know. It's just it's like a rewarding feeling, like that people like what you did and that the movie's received well. And I've never been to this festival, so I'm really stoked to be in Austin. I've only heard great things about Austin. So it's good to be here.
Do you ever worry about people comparing this movie to a previous movie you've done, like, oh, it's not like It Follows, or do you think people start expecting to see you in a certain role?
I don't. Do you?
Well, no, but for you, it's like maybe you've done two like quote unquote horror movies, but you play a completely different character in this movie.
Yeah, well, that's what attracted me of this character. Like, it's another horror movie, and it's obviously gonna be great because Fede Alvarez is the shit. So I knew it was gonna be a good project, and I knew that maybe horror wasn't the route that I should have taken, maybe. But it was such a cool character. It's so different to anything that I've ever done that I thought it was something that I needed to do, and it caught my attention.
Talk a little bit about Fede. How he maybe differs from other directors and kind of like how it is on set.
He's hyper intelligent, man.
There's just so much you could say. It's like where do I begin?
He does everything. I remember just like going to set, he'd be like editing while doing like the music and calling the shot. Like he can do
Making trailers just for fun.
He literally can do 8 things at the same time. I think that Fede is the type of director who has a voice, a distinct voice. You know what I mean? Like you see a movie and you're like, that's a Fede Alvarez movie.
Yeah. Well, this is his movie to show that too. Like,
Exactly.
this is his second film, so it's like this is what's going to create his style of filmmaking, you know, which is so cool. But I had never like done a movie or been on a set where it's just the director making the movie. Like there was a producer there for a second, and then the producers were all gone. It was just Fede making this movie by himself, and like I had never experienced that.
And he would call the shots. I mean, he'd be like, this is what we're doing. And there was no second opinion. You know what I mean? And it's like, you want to do this, Fede? Fuck it, let's do it. And so it just creates like this like dynamic between us and him where you just respect him and he respects us. It's just like a really close-knit group because there's no other opinions around this.
Yeah.
Well, what was the biggest challenge when making this film? Is there stuff that came up on set that it was like, oh, dude, it was just such a bitch. It was like no AC or.
No AC. No,
Maybe the language a little bit, like
true.
because we did shoot in Budapest, so you know the crew was fantastic. Not to say anything bad about them because they were great, but sometimes we don't language barriers and like
Yeah.
stuff. I
That
mean,
makes sense.
but other than that, I think
I think not physically preparing enough for the violent scenes, but but other than that, no. I mean, it was smooth because everyone was just so good at what they were doing, and everyone was passionate. You know?
And lastly, have y'all ever been to Austin before? Never?
Yeah, I have just for like 6 years ago. I had a movie at Fantastic Fest in this room. I was doing press actually, but I. But that didn't really count. But last year I was here for 2 days for like the music. But I haven't been here to have a project here at all. I love it. I'm like I don't leave.
the Strokes are a hotel.
I know. I was just. That's what I was gonna tell you before we started.